first, so it looks a little bit like St. Petersburg, but of course it's much, much smaller. I think it's very elegant, and
how many acres?
Pardon?
It's very clean considering how many people are traveling.
It's very clean here?
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay. Well, one thing, I mean, compared to St. Petersburg, or what are you referring to?
Other countries.
Yeah, well, St. Petersburg is 100 years older, and St. Petersburg is built in the swamp. So it was built in 703, and then the estuary of the Neva, I mean, it was just very moist area. And so this is the big advantage of Helsinki. This is all granite underneath, big rock. I mean, Helsinki underneath is like a Swiss cheese. As you can imagine, we have lots of underground parking lots, and we have train underground, and we have actually under the esplanades, we have a huge water reservoir. So the drinking water is actually brought here from Päijänne Lake, which is the second largest lake in Finland. We have a 180-mile long tunnel from the lake here into Helsinki, and typically when you go to a restaurant, the first thing you receive is a big carafe with drinking water, and that's included in the price, so they don't normally charge extra for that. But then of course everything else is extremely expensive, so most people stick with water. But
you know, in the States they have, sometimes they have prisoners that they put on work details and they go clean up trash along the streets.
oh yeah, okay.
And if you're talking about interstate highways, they have companies on contract to pick up all the trash.
Yeah, but this is the same here.
Americans just throw it out the window.
Yes, but this is the same here. It's not that Finns don't produce garbage. I mean, we have Starbucks here, we have coffee to go and all that stuff. And so when we have big festivals or something happening, we have trash as well. But we have high taxes, so we have really well-functioning cleaning service by the city. Yeah, on the left side is our Natural Historic Museum. There is a moose you can see there, but upstairs you have the giraffes, laughing giraffes there, so that's the Finnish humor again.
You don't have graffiti here.
Pardon?
Graffiti. You don't have it.
Graffiti, yeah, but that's
a little bit.
a little bit, but it's very little because graffiti is actually considered an art form in Finland. And here, Kiasma, the Museum of Modern Art that we saw when we drove out there, that they are actually having regular events for these graffiti artists where they really they get build up these walls, and then they can paint their artworks, and then they actually film it and make a video, and these videos you can see there in the art museum. And so also when you go out to the east, we have a large highway there, and they have created a really, really long wall in the middle, and so people can actually go there and then just paint there. So they offer them to be part of the culture here in a sense, and so that kind of reduces the pressure to paint everything, you know. But I don't know how it will last. But right now it's considered an art form, and so they don't have to. Yeah, Marshall Mannerheim. I maybe about a little. War history is always difficult, but this is really interesting because. They had a civil war after they declared independence because they had a strong workers' movement, and the workers wanted to go with Russia and have a communist state, and the Republicans and the farmers, especially the free farmers and the monarchists, they didn't want that, and so they had to go to war for half a year. And he was the head of the White Army, which is the Republicans, and so they actually won, which is why we have a republic today. They had a short fast where they wanted to be a monarchy, and they had actually a German king that they wanted here, Karl Friedrich von Hessen, a German noble. But then because the German Empire collapsed in 1918, that didn't come. So they are a republic. But very important, Marshal Mannerheim in the Second World War, when Finland was attacked by Stalin on 30th of November 1939 in the famous Winter War, where there was a huge Russian army approaching here the border, and they couldn't get in. So they had 750,000 Russians and 250,000 Finns. The Russians had 2,000 tanks, the Finns had just 60. They had no tank defense. Do you know the Molotov cocktail? Yes. Let's say that's from that time, because that's what the Finns used. They had these bottles with gas in there, and then gasoline, and then some tar and some chemicals. And so that's from that war where the Finns stopped this huge army at their long border. And so eventually, I mean, they had to negotiate. They lost 10% of their country, but they were not occupied, and they remained a democracy throughout World War II. And Marshal Mannerheim had a really, really big deal in that, because he knew the Russian army. He had served in the Russian army for 20 years under Nikolai II. He spoke Russian fluently, and he had cut out the strategy, but then the Finns were the ones who really fought, and he was himself surprised what they accomplished. But one has to know, behind the 250,000 Finnish soldiers, there were 240,000 Lotta Svert Finnish, like a paramilitary female organization, who did all the work that you need in order to supply your army. So all the cooking in the hospitals, all the sewing of clothes and everything. So they supplied the backbone, so to speak, so they could fight there in the front. So that was the first thing that was forbidden after World War II, when Russia eventually made a peace contract here. First thing they forbade was the female organization.
Were they also conscripted?
No, this was a totally voluntarily, so really amazing organization. Finns are really well organized, and that's one good example of that. And actually women still profit today from that, because they learned a lot of skills there that they are still using today in business life. So that's the deep root of that. Now on the left, oh, no, we don't see anything.